Joe Emilio. Please use the hashtag if you're watching. Tell people about it. Sit down and lockdown hashtag and hashtag the Joe Show or Joe Show for short. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you guys are having a lovely Monday. I hope it's been a great Monday for those of you who are going to be tuning in. So I have a few things to quickly just say. First off, as always, I have a very entertaining and very funny man guest with me on the show tonight. But I always like to say this right off the bat. If you're watching on Facebook, please join us on YouTube. It's just better that way. I think it's better on YouTube. And also, please bear in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that I do this as well in aid of my guests that are on the show because they're usually performers, actors, comedians, singers. So I like to accept donations on their behalf. So you can donate directly to this link. It's on Quicket, yes, but they don't ask for your number, name, or email, or anything like that. It's a very simple link. Just go there. 80% will be split. Will go to my guest, 20% will go to me after proceeds. And the reason why I say proceeds is because Cricket just takes a small cut. So yeah, feel free at any time to donate. You don't have to. You really don't. It's just there if you want to help, because as entertainers, we're very limited with the options we have right now. But thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Remember that you can comment, you can ask questions at any time. We will happily try and get to most of them, if not all of them. So please don't be shy in that regard. Also, ladies and gentlemen, the guy that I'm going to bring on now is, I would like to say he's a friend of mine. I would. I don't know if he feels the same way. We'll find out. Um, I say that because he's a very busy man. He's a very talented man. He's an actor. He's a comedian. I know him as a comedian. I've seen him work as an actor, and I'm a huge fan. And I'm actually really excited to have him on the stage, on the show, because I am a huge fan of this man's work. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, pretty much the only reason why you're watching this right now, please welcome on the show the one, the only, the very funny, the very talented, the amazing, the lovely Mr. Rob Van Vuuren. Say hi, Rob.
Hi. Who am I talking to again?
You're talking to the world. You're talking to YouTube, Facebook. You're talking to the world, man. We have a few
Hello,
viewers.
Joe. Thanks for having me on your show, bro. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Thank you for agreeing to do this. We're just gonna have a nice, lovely chat. I see a few more people have joined us. So I'm just gonna put a notification. Remember, guys, you can comment and ask us questions at any time. So, Rob, let's get right into it. Tell me, how are you holding up with the lockdown? And is there any cravings that you're getting?
Uh, I found this whole thing's a little bit up and down. My feelings about it shift kind of hourly. 1 hour I'm feeling fantastic and on top of the world, and the next hour my anxiety kicks in and my worry about um, my income stopping kicks in. But for the most part, it's been really amazing. I found it quite life affirming on many levels. It's made me stop and re-examine a whole lot of things. It's really given me time and space to figure out like what's good for me in terms of my mental health,
Mm-hmm.
um, and and that's great. And I'm also seeing it more and more as an opportunity. It's an opportunity for me to reconnect with my family. It's an opportunity for me to re-examine how my work operates and what kind of space it takes up in my life. And I'm hoping that by the end of this, it'll be an opportunity to create a different kind of income stream where I don't have to be on stage all the time.
Yeah.
So this whole online space I find it quite fascinating, and there's a lot of there's a lot of opportunities, and I'm hoping that we can find a new way to make money, or at the very least supplement our incomes. Because the truth of the matter is that even if lockdown ends in 10 days' time or whenever it's supposed to end, for comedians, it's going to be a long time before we can get on stage again.
Yeah, that's true.
So this is the new normal for us. This is the space we've got to inhabit, and so yeah, I'm hoping that I'm finding new ways of doing that, and just trying to embrace that. Really, really trying to embrace that.
Yeah,
What am I craving?
Yeah, what are you craving?
Right now, white wine.
Did you miss the stocking opportunity?
Well, we stocked a little bit, but I mean, that was day one. What are you going to do for day two?
Day two.
I'm not craving like chocolates or sweets because those are essential goods, and we're allowed to go to the shops for them.
Shame.
What are you craving?
What am I? Sushi. I am missing sushi so much. And people always say like, "Oh, but you can make it."
I hadn't even thought of that. Now I'm craving it. Thanks, Joe.
And that's the thing, like people always like, yeah, but you can make that. No, I can't. I can't go fishing. I don't have raw salmon in my fridge. That just doesn't. I don't understand. So every now and again, I might stop the conversation and just let you know that somebody's commented. And we have Storm, who is an aspiring comedian, saying good evening, and here's to a good one.
Good evening, Storm.
Thank you so much, Storm, for tuning in. Cool. So you're not craving sweets, but you've been on a diet. Like you've been boxing. Do you have like a diet for that? I'm guessing you're not boxing now, but
I'm working out immensely. I'm doing a lot of working out because it really helps me stay kind of sane, and the endorphins and the serotonin really help with my happiness levels. But I'm also just at the moment I'm eating whatever happens to be around. I will eat it. I'm not being strict about diet right now.
You're in survival mode.
Who diets at the end of the world? That's ridiculous.
We almost saw your awesome underwear there, Rob.
Do you want to see them?
And we lost half of our viewership.
This is how it is. I don't have to get dressed up for gigs anymore. I just as long as I'm wearing something suitable on the top.
I think you might be quite impressed by if you watch this later. If you watch this, you might be quite impressed with the production level of this, because we have Yasid Solomon, who's also an aspiring comedian. Away Joe, thank you so much for tuning in, Yasid. Dylan says, I guess he's referring to your underwear. And Yasid is, I think there's a bit of bromance here. He's saying, Rob, you looking so young. So there
Thank
you
you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Yasid. Thank you very much. It's all that working out and not any wine that I can drink at the moment. It's just water and pull-ups.
So, ladies and gentlemen, please stick around. We're going to play a game. It's going to be a very fun game where you guys can also get involved. Basically, Rob and I will be interrogating each other later. So we'll do that in a few moments. I want to get back onto Rob Van Vuuren. Let's talk a bit more about your comedy career. I really want to know this. This is something I don't know about you. Tell us the story about the first time you ever... Well, actually, wait. Sorry, I'm going to backtrack. Did acting or comedy come first?
Acting.
Okay.
Acting, so, yes.
Tell us about the story of how Rob got into comedy and your first ever stand-up comedy gig.
Sure. We have to go back into the mists of time now, Joe. So, I mean, I was always, I'm going to give you the full story. I was always like the class clown. I was obviously always kind of had a, I was always very comedic, and being the short guy in the class with Buck Ura, comedy was my defense mechanism. However, I was also like I was into the arts. I loved art, and I loved theatre from a very young age, and poetry and shit like that. I used to write poems when I was a kid. I wrote plays when I was a kid. And I went to the National Arts Festival in Makanda, Grahamstown, the first time in Standard 2008, which would have been like 30 years ago now. And I absolutely fell in love with it, and I've been every year since. And I knew then that I wanted to study acting specifically at Rhodes University, and specifically under a guy called Andrew Buckland, who is a world-class actor and physical theatre performer. He's also a trained mime, but he developed this very particular style of performance that was it uses his body a lot, like multiple characterization. He would do an epic, fantastical narrative, but just with one body on stage, and he would play hundreds of different characters and create this whole landscape, just through the use of his body.
On his own, no,
that was something.
on his own.
He would do.
Wow.
I mean, he did a couple of two-handers with Lionel Newton, who's also equally incredibly gifted actor and physical performer. But Andrew would also do. But it would be the same kind of thing where they would play multiple characters and really create a whole world just with these two bodies on stage. Or if it was just Andrew on stage, it was just him. And I was totally into that. I was incredibly inspired by it, and that was a huge influence on me in my early days. So when I went to varsity, I wrote my first proper play when I was in second year, and myself and my buddy Bevan Cullinan put it on for the festival, and it was a physical comedy. So we had lots of kind of clowning dynamics happening between the two of us, and we used to do these like really intense physical choreographic bits and pieces, but it was primarily like physical comedy, slapstick comedy kind of vibes with a touch of drama to it. And then the following year we did another show with my friend James as well, and then I started writing one-man shows, but it was all in that kind of style. And then I did that for years. I developed a bit of a following in the theatre circles for people who enjoyed that work and followed my work. And I did a number of shows. The first show was called Squadron Marmite. It was with Bevan. Then Tea Time at the Reykjavik Geezer Dome with Bevan and James. Then I wrote my first one-man show was called Mung. I wrote another one called Tankupa. And then another one called Electric Juju, and other shows, Bangalore Talkie. So a bunch of like plays, but lots of like kind of comedy influences, a bit of clowning, but also like a dramatic twist. And then about 99, 2000, I met Lo Fenter on a film set for this terrible Dutch action movie we were both cast in called Adrenaline. It was a very, very shit movie, but we got to spend a lot of time on set together, and he's like a mad genius, and we would like just riff off of each other, and he created this this crazy character called Corneille, and he would kind of speak in a strange accent, and I would riff, with him in my version of that accent. And we spent a lot of time entertaining each other on set and the other actors on set. And then around that time, a friend of mine, Lance Herman, was putting together a like variety show in just off Long Street in what was it called? Zem Cafe, which is where Beezy Bailey's studio is. It's got those big mosaic things. I think it's in Bloom Street or something. Anyway, it was like a variety show, and I decided I was going to try stand-up comedy. I was like, I'd always kind of been interested. I was like, oh, I want to give it a bash. And so I, said, can I do stand-up? And he was like, great. He gave me 5 minutes. And then I wrote a 5-minute set, and I was terrified. And then on the night that I was supposed to do it, something happened. I think it was a power outage or something, and then the end was cancelled and postponed to the following week. And I was like, I can't put myself through that again. It's too stressful. So I said, I'm not going to do stand-up, but what I will do is, I said to Lo, let's do this thing that we've been doing with these two characters. And for the following week, we did our first Corner and Twaki Most Amazing Show appearance on that stage. And then that took over my life for the next 10 years
Wow.
practically. And around 2008, I moved to Joburg. I was following a girl, and it meant that we weren't like, so we were split. Myself and Lo were split with the Corne and Twaki stuff, and I was trying to find my feet in Joburg and find new ways of making money. And so I started kind of joined the stand-up circuit as Twaki. I did a couple of appearances as Twaki, and I kind of now because Corne and Twaki had become a thing. People knew about it. And we'd been kind of closely associated with the stand-up comedy circuit. We'd hosted a couple of stand-up comedy shows, and I'd worked on some of the festivals. So I was in the orbit of stand-up comedy again. Mm-hmm. And then I decided to do Twaki. And then I was like, let me try the stand-up thing again. And I did my first gig, proper stand-up gig, as an open mic at the Blues Room in Sandton in 2008, I think it was. 2007, 2008, somewhere around there. Trevor Noah was hosting the lineup, and I did 5 minutes, and I died on my fucking ass. I sucked balls. I created this whole 5 minute, I wrote a play basically in 5 minutes, a physical theater play. It was so not right for stand up, and then I was too scared to try stand up again for another 4 or 5 years.
Really? Mm.
Actually, yeah, it must have been 2005. Now that I think about it, 2004, 2005, and then I didn't do it again until 2008.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, you know what happened is I did a TV show with Kurt Schoenrod called Crazy Games. Mm-hmm. And we would took a lot of cuck together in the hotel room after filming all day. And he was like, he convinced me, he was like, you got to do stand-up. And I was like, I've been wanting to for years, toying with it, but I just haven't got the guts. And he was like, he just kind of, he just spoke some sense to me basically, which was like, listen, you're going to suck for a while, but you have a skill set that you've developed over years that a lot of the other up and coming comics don't have. And you've got an enormous amount of experience through the Corne and Twaki stuff. So you'll be able to get better a lot quicker than most stand-up comics would normally, as long as you are okay with sucking for a bit and just accept the fact that you're going to die. And at that stage, I was like, okay, I understand that. And I'd been around comedy enough. I was like, okay. So I just then from that day on, I put my head down and I just went for it. But what I decided to do is, instead of starting how most comics would start with 5 minutes in a club, I said, like that, I'm going to write a full hour show and take it to my playground, my home territory, which is the National Arts Festival in Grahamstown, because I had an audience there, and a captive audience. And what I did is I did an hour show of storytelling of stuff that had gone wrong in my career up until that point. These are stories that I'd shared with friends and with other actors around dinner tables for years. So I was comfortable telling these stories. I know they had funny aspects to them. And because I knew I had an hour, I felt more comfortable getting the audience. With those 5 minutes for a stand-up comedy, for a stand-up comic, it's brutal. It's so brutal, because you've got to get your laughs straight away. And if you don't get your laughs, you are failing. That's that's stand-up comedy. That's a contract you are entering with an audience. But if you've got them for an hour and you start your tone off as more as a kind of conversational storytelling tone, the audience is a little bit more forgiving. And I had enough experience to make myself be charming and interesting, and I'm a good storyteller. So that was my in. And once I had that hour, then I started whittling it down and would go try bits in comedy clubs. And so I kind of worked it, ass about face. I went from the full hour and then worked my way back to 5 minutes. And that's how it started for me.
So freaking fascinating. I mean, I got to tell you, the comments are going crazy. I mean, some people here, they knew you were going to say Corne and Twaki. So Storm said, Rob the Legend Van Vuuren. He calls you the legend also because you pranked Leon Schuster. We all know that one.
I did.
Yazid says, Rob, I'm short too. On the Cape Flats, I am what they refer to as Pil Huchta. I think it's, I don't know, H-double-O-G-T.
Pilwuchta.
Yeah.
Spielhoogte, that means he's about the height of a penis. He's this height. He's that tall.
And then, yeah, Yesid also says, Kone and Twaki shaped part of my youth. No cuck. That's what Yesid says, so he's a huge fan.
Shit, he must be damaged. He is a damaged youth.
And
Hang on,
then,
my dog is scratching. I need to let my dog out. Hang
all
on.
right, cool, no worries. All right, one more time, guys. While Rob is gone, please don't forget you can donate anything, everything. Just follow that cue card, please.
I'm back.
Cool. And then Julian says, "Wow, I'm so enjoying this. Thanks, Joe." You're welcome, Julian. Thank you to everyone who's commenting, to everyone who's saying things and tuned in. Thank you guys so much. It was a fascinating story that Rob told. I had no idea that you started comedy that way. It's kind of throwing yourself into the deep end as well. But I'm glad
Yeah,
that...
I was like about 10, 15 years into my career when I first started stand-up. I've been doing stand-up now for just over 10 years.
Wow, that's phenomenal. And you've done so much since then. I mean, I was reading up about you. You've done, so many one-man shows. Is that why you're always at Grahamstown doing those one-man shows as well? Because you were always a prolific kind of person there, in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, it was my home for so long, and it's a great place to. I kind of structured my whole year around it. It would be that's what I did every time of that year, and it would be a great place to kind of present new work. So I would always have this. I put pressure on myself to have something new every year, whether it was a play or a stand-up show or whatever. But yeah, it's kind of it has been. It's been that carrot that's been dangling ahead of me every year to create something new.
But last year was your last one, right?
Yes and no, Joe. It was supposed to be my last one. At least for a while. I mean, I did it. I've been going there for 30 years, performing for 25 or 26 years nonstop.
Nice.
And I just wanted to take a break and experience something different, and just change my year around a little bit. And then this pandemic happened, and lockdown happened, and the National Arts Festival has gone virtual. So they're doing a virtual festival this year.
Oh, okay.
And I've run out of ways to make money. So I applied for the National Arts Festival again today.
Okay. So this is an exclusive right here on this show. Rob Van Vuuren will be on the Grahamstown National Arts Festival.
If they accept my application,
let's see. Come on, like they're not going to. Jeez. They'd be...
Maybe they're tired of me.
No, come on. I do want to talk about this because I actually did make notes of this as well. I didn't know... Well, I found out after you and I met that you pranked Leon Schuster. So I'm very curious to know about this. Was that staged, or did you come up with it? Who came up with it? Was that a real thing? Tell us about that.
I'll tell you the whole story.
Okay.
So I got a call one afternoon while I was here at home in Fishhook, and someone said, was it from my agent initially, or it was my agent said someone's going to phone you from a production company, a Dutch TV production company. They want to interview you. So I was like, okay. And then they phoned me and said, we're doing this Dutch television show about the Football World Cup and crime in South Africa, and would you be willing to be interviewed for it? And I was in Fishhook. I had to rush through to town. And I thought to myself, I don't have an audience in Holland. So no, I don't want to drive through to town for this. I said, no, I'm not going. And then they phoned me back 2 minutes later and said, okay, we're not a Dutch television show. We're actually Leon Schuster. We're doing a Leon Schuster movie. And we've been pranking people all day with this setup about the Dutch television show about the World Cup. But we really want to prank him.
Nice.
And we thought you'd be the guy who could prank him. Would you be willing to do that? And I was like, hell yes, I would definitely do that. Then they said, we don't have any money. And I said, okay, I can't come. And they said, but there's no money. And I said, you can buy me groceries for the week. You can put, like, and it cost me petrol to get there. And they were like, okay, fuck, I'll give you a couple of $100. And I was like, yes. And then I drove there, and then I said, okay, give me the rundown. What's the scenario? And then they explained it to me that he was in this fat suit. He was interviewing people about crime, the World Cup, and, like, South Africans are going to say, no, it's fine. It's going to be fine. The World Cup's going to be fine. And then during this interview, someone rushes behind us and smashes a window, and, and he in his fat suit goes crazy and starts beating up the person. So I said, okay, cool. I thought about that. And then I thought to myself, I've only got one shot at this. You can't, there's like no do-overs, It's like you've got one opportunity at this. And I was like, this is a unique opportunity as well to get Leon Schuster. I felt like this is my civic responsibility as a South African. I have to do this on behalf of all other South Africans, and I have to get it right. So I was like, I got to be believable. I can't let it go. So I thought, first of all, can I swear? I said to them, can I swear? And they were like, yeah, you can swear. I was like, cool. Then I thought to myself, I have to make my stress levels believable, because I was like, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to freak out, and I'm going to lose my shit, and I'm going to blame it on post-traumatic stress because of a hijacking that I've experienced, which I had recently been hijacked a couple of weeks or months before that. So I was drawing on all this shit that had happened to me. And then I was like, okay, but that's not enough. I need to be stressed already that when I'm there. I was like, okay, so I'm gonna ask the AD, please phone me in the first 2 minutes of meeting him, and I'm gonna pretend that phone call is from my wife, and our dog is in the vet, and it's gonna cost a lot of money, and we can't afford it because we're strapped for cash. And I'm also only doing this interview because I'm desperate for publicity so that I can help my ailing career. And so that was the setup. So I said to them, so phone me in the first 2 minutes. I'm going to lose my shit. Am I allowed to swear? They were like, yeah, cool. So all the crew knew, but Leon didn't know. He had no idea. So the producer had set this up, and the AD had called me, and he'd let the rest of the people know that I was going to lose my shit and this was going to happen. But Leon had no idea. So that's how it happened. And then that phone call that I get wasn't my wife. It was the AD. And I was like, oh, that dog's in the vet. Oh, God. And he's like, are you okay? And I'm like, no, it's fine. I really need the publicity to do this. Let's just carry on. And then when the guy smashed the window, that's when I really lost my shit. And tried to beat him up as well, and then tried to beat up Leon. Leon was like, Robbie, this Leon, this Leon. And then I got to say what I really wanted to say, which was, fuck you, Leon! You're messing with people's emotions for another one of your cock movies! Fuck you! Which is great. And I nearly actually killed him that day. I nearly gave him a heart attack. He nearly died. He nearly died. He drank heavily that night. A lot of whiskey was consumed in the aftermath. But another interesting thing is I watched that movie in the cinema in Fishhook, when we still had a cinema in Fishhook. And I kind of snuck into the movie because I knew I'm in this movie. And I sat there, and while that scene was happening, it was a very interesting thing when you watch that movie for the first time, and that particular scene is people start laughing initially because I'm about to be pranked, and you can see I'm under stress.
Yeah.
But then I lose it and I get really emotional. Like I got deeply emotional. I was like crying real tears, and then people go quiet. They go super, super quiet, and they're like, oh God, start whispering to each other. But at one point before that happens, I'm sitting there and I'm talking like, oh, I need the publicity. And some dude sitting in this row in the cinema, like 3 seats down, turns to his friend and he goes, what a doers about me. I was like, that's rad. I'm right here. You're a doers.
Oh man, I remember watching that. I think we were all sorry, I got distracted here. Uh, Storm says, "Thanks,
People are
Joe."
convinced I'm his son now as well.
Yes,
Because I
I've
did
heard that
another
rumor.
another movie after that where I played his son, and they're like, "You're his son." I'm like, "No, I'm an actor playing his son." They're like, "No, you're his son. Don't talk shit." I'm like, "No, I'm an actor." No, you're not. Some people just call me Leon Schuster. They're just like, "Hey, Leon Schuster." I'm like, "I'm not fucking Leon Schuster. I was in one Leon Schuster movie. God damn it."
Storm here says, "Thanks, Joe. Had it not been for you, I wouldn't have known Rob is on Queen Sono. Reason to watch
Yeah, man.
Netflix." Yeah, so we were actually going to talk about that as
Have
well.
you not have you not seen it, Storm? You gotta watch this show, bro. It is awesome.
It is awesome. Sorry. Tell us. So that's like. Would you say that's a history making moment for South Africa? Sorry.
Is that Corona? Were you
No,
busy
no, no.
dying of
I,
Corona on your show?
no, no. Because that is a Netflix.
Uh,
It's on Netflix, but it was produced in South Africa. Am I right?
are we talking about Queen Center? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's huge. Like history, definitely a historic moment for South African productions.
Mm.
So it was the first Netflix commission, first African Netflix commissioned original. So a lot of people think that Shadow or The Shadow was the first one. Shadow was not commissioned by Netflix. It was made and then sold onto various platforms, and one of those platforms was Netflix. Queen Sono was commissioned by Netflix. They sought Kagiso Lediga out and said to him, "We want you to make something kick ass for us," which he did. And they did that based on his film Catching Feelings, which is
Oh
a
yes,
film starring himself, Kagiso
yes.
Lediga, Pearl Tusi,
Mm.
and Andrew Buckland, the guy I
Okay.
mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
who was my teacher at varsity. Great film, really wonderful, wonderful rom-com,
Mm.
basically set in Joburg. Really beautiful, great performances, well put together film. And Netflix also bought that film and started streaming it as well,
Nice.
and it did pretty well. And they then approached CAGS and said, "We love what you did with Joburg. That aesthetic that you created with Joburg was beautiful, and we love Pearl Tusi. She is." Pearl's been doing really, really well over the
Mm.
last couple of years. She got a nice part in Quantico. She started doing other films. And they were like, "Pearl's hot property. We would love for you to do similar kind of thing that you did in terms of Joburg aesthetic, African aesthetic, but with Pearl, like a Pearl 2C vehicle."
Mm.
And so CAG started talking to Pearl, and Pearl sent him a clip of her doing a fight sequence, training for a fight sequence in a film that she was shooting called one of the Mummy films, Scorpion King 8 or something, or 7.
Yeah.
Something, one of those, with director Don, who I actually worked with like a year later or the year previous on Tremors 6.
Oh
He
my word.
just gets to do all these like weird franchise sequels. Don, great guy, really really super dude. Anyway, so she showed sent Cags this clip of her fight scene, and it's like real kick ass, amazing choreography, and she's great. And she was like, "I want to do something like this. I want to do action, strong, powerful female lead." And then Cags had this idea of a spoof spy series that he'd been kind of toying with. And then they kind of put the two together, and instead of making it a spoof spy series, they made it like a proper
Mm.
kick-ass spy action thriller, dark comedy with Pearl as this like amazing, powerful black female lead, really highlighting African aesthetic, filming in different African locations. Yeah, and it is done incredibly well.
Mm.
I was actually speaking to CAGS today. They're busy. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but there's definitely talk of a season 2 happening. And yeah, numbers were crazy. We were number one across Africa
Mm.
for like 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
Um, and they got, this is what Kags told me, they got 7 million accounts in the first 28 days, 4 million illegal downloads. It was huge in Brazil. We went to number one in Brazil, and we were number 7 in the US as well for Queen Sona. For a South African production,
Wow.
absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, I think it's really it's a trailblazing thing, and I think it's going to mean hopefully a season 2 for Queen Sono, and it's going to be a door opening for a lot more African content through Netflix. They are serious about Africa um, as a huge territory for them.
Mm.
They're super excited about what we can do and make here. They're super excited about our talent. And they're looking for more stuff. So I think it's the start. I think it's the start of a lot more African content for the global market through Netflix. Super exciting.
That is so cool, dude. And you got to be a part of it, which is obviously really
I
awesome.
so stoked. I messaged as soon as I remember there was a story out in the press about it. It was on. I saw something on Twitter, and I immediately messaged Kags, and I was like, I will do anything to be a part of this. Just like I'll carry tea. I just want to be a part of this. This is like life changing, and a couple of months after that, and I don't normally do that. I'm very kind of proud. I don't like say to people, I really want to be a part of it. I'm like, if you want me, you want me,
Mm.
But there's something about it that I was like, I really just want to be a part of this. And I'd always wanted to work with Kags. We traveled in the same circles, but we never had an opportunity. And funnily enough, what all set it off is I'd gone to the Cape Town premiere of his movie Catching Feelings with Pearl and Andrew. I was just happened to be at the waterfront at the time, and I saw Andrew, and I was like, "What are you doing?" He was like, "Oh, we're going to our premiere. Come along." And I went, and my wife and I, we had drinks with him afterwards. Um, and when I saw the stuff about Queen Son, I said to Kags, "Please, I've got to be a part of it." And then a couple of months after that, he was like, "I've got a part for you." And I was like, "What? When do I audition?" He was like, "You don't need to audition. You've got the part." I was like, "That's insane." And I was like, "Who is he?" And then I found out I was like a really great kind of supporting character in the core team of that group of kind of anti-terrorism, anti-corruption spy
Nice.
guys. Yeah, I got to do cool things. I survived the whole first season.
Yeah, so
I
you'll
didn't
be back for
die.
a second one. Yay.
I'm in season 2.
Let's hope that they don't, plan your death in season 2.
Yeah, dude, I was thinking about that today. Episode 1. I die in episode 1. Great. Great.
Well, congratulations on that, man. That was really cool to see you guys on there. And please, those of you that are watching, go check it out. It's really good. I saw the trailer. It just looks top notch. It looks like it was produced by Hollywood. It looks like it was taken very seriously, and it looks very, very interesting. And Rob Van Vuuren's in it, so go check that out. All right, cool. So very quickly, let's see if we can play that game that I told you about. I think this is going to be fun. We have a few viewers, so those of you that are listening, this is your chance to get involved as well. I am calling this game. I'm going to do a bit of a split screen here, Rob. I just need you to be a little bit more centered to the camera. There we
How's
go.
that?
Yeah, perfect.
Sorry, I'm back.
No worries. Okay, cool. So, how this is going to work is I'm calling it interrogation. All right. So, I'm going to present three facts about myself. And Rob needs to interrogate me for 2 minutes to find out which one of those three facts are not true. In those 2 minutes,
I,
or yeah,
Are you allowed to lie in that interrogation?
yes. My goal
Okay.
is to make sure that you don't find out what the lie was.
Okay.
So you need to find the truth. I need to lie about it. I need to make sure that you don't find that truth. If that
Okay.
makes sense. So it's like a real interrogation
Okay.
kind of thing. The
Right.
audience is also allowed to try and guess, to figure it out. If you have a question you want Rob to ask me, we'll see if we can squeeze it in. You guys can try and help him figure it out, and then we'll do the opposite. We'll do me first, and then I will interrogate Rob afterwards. So it'll be 2 rounds. All right. So I'm gonna pop up. Rob, unfortunately, won't be able to see this, but I'm going to send it to you on Skype, or I'll just read it. So let me just pop it up here. So these are my statements. There's the statements. I'm gonna bring up a clock here. Again, I'll let you know how much time you have left with the 2 minutes. So here's my first statement. I once bribed an officer, and don't guess just yet. I once bribed an officer to get out of being arrested. That's the first statement. Second statement, I know a little bit of Arabic. Third statement, I once made 15,000 Rand for a 30-minute comedy set. Do you need me to repeat them?
You bribed someone, a police officer, to get out of a ticket. You got 15,000 Rand for a comedy set. What was the other one?
I know a little bit of Arabic.
You speak a little bit of Arabic.
Yeah, okay, so here we go. Your 2 minute for interrogation starts now.
I'm interrogating you now.
Yeah.
What's the most amount you've ever been paid for a comedy gig?
15,000 Rand.
I think I know which one you're lying about. What's the other one? You definitely bribed a cop. It's so your vibe.
How could you? What do you mean?
I know you. I know you're a bad
Bullshit.
driver, number one, and number two, you lack moral fiber.
Oh, please, you've
and
never
also,
been
so do many of our police officers. So that it connects. You Arabic.
Yeah,
Arabic.
What
Arabic can you speak?
60 seconds. I know Arabic, dude. I used to stay in Egypt for a while, so I picked it up. Shukran, salam alaikum, ma salama.
So does that count? Is that now proof of the fact that you can speak what you have said? Shukran, salam alaikum, because I can say that.
Okay.
But I don't go around saying that I can speak Arabic.
أنا اسمي جوزيف وعايش في South Africa بقالي 16 سنين أمي مصرية.
Okay. You're lying about the 15,000 Rand.
20 seconds left.
You're lying about the 15,000.
Is that your answer?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'll stop.
You're lying. You're lying about that. You're a liar.
You are correct, my friend. Yeah, you saw. I got as I was saying it, I was like, I should have said 20,000.
15,000 Rand. How much did I say?
Oh man, that's funny. All right, so yeah, see, that's a fun game. Let me just get your statements here. Give me a second. Where is it? All right, there we go. So I'm going to quickly put them up on the screen for people to see. Just one moment. Here we go. And cool. So just need to put here Rob. There we go. And okay, so I'm gonna read these out to you, and you can. And then I'll start the time, and then I'll try and interrogate you, and people can comment. All right. So your first statement is: I took up contract rugby again just before I turned 40 and reached the final of Cape Town 10s in our league. I can recite the full Hamlet to be or not to be speech on command. I jumped out of a plane once. Ooh, these are good ones. Okay, I'm going to start the time. Here we go. 2 minutes start now. All right. What's a scrum?
A scrum is it's when a group of academics get together and debate furiously on matters of metaphysics.
And in rugby terms,
What's rugby?
you said I took up contact rugby. Sorry, contact rugby. I thought it said contact rugby.
Oh,
Okay.
rugby, the sport. Oh, it's when the big fat guys push each other. They go in there and they push each other like that.
All right. How old are you?
44.
No.
I turned 44 in lockdown.
What?
Yeah.
You don't,
Yeah.
dude. You look young for 44. I think you're lying.
Why do you think my Skype name is Rob Van Vuuren 1976?
Okay.
Because, I'll tell you why, because Rob Van Vuuren was taken, and 1976 is when I was born.
When did you jump out of a plane? What year?
I don't know. Maybe I didn't jump out of a plane. Maybe I'm playing misdirection with this whole thing. The truth is I'm terrified of heights. So jumping out of a plane would be a very bad idea. You'd have to drug me to chuck me out of a plane.
Shit, I have 34 seconds. It's not going well.
It's not going well.
For me.
I've realized all I have to do is lie about everything.
I believe that you can do the Hamlet thing. That I know. I know you can do that. I know you can do that. It's the rugby and the plane thing that is really confusing me right now. And I think you jumped out of a plane for a commercial. Maybe? You smiled.
I didn't actually, but I did once jump out of a helicopter for a commercial.
Okay, time's up. I have to guess. Fuck, man, you're good. Fuck, you're a good actor. Damn it. Shit.
So, this is you. 15,000 rand.
Okay, I'm like I said, I'm torn between the jump. I'm gonna go with I know it's the rugby one, number one. That's false.
It's the Hamlet one.
What? Oh man, that totally got me. Well done. That totally got me. I'm like.
I know a lot of it, but I don't know the full speech. I'd have to relearn it. To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether it is noble in the mind to suffer the slings of arrows of outrageous fortune, and by so opposing end them, to sleep perchance to dream. Why there's the rub? It's like bits and pieces I know of it. I know Polonius's speech.
Okay.
And I know bits, like I auditioned for Hamlet not so long ago, and I did the Get Thee to a Nunnery scene, which I'd have to relearn. I can only keep a certain amount of information in my head, and then I have to dump. Obviously. It's like RAM space. I need more RAM space. I put stuff in, and then I dump it.
I used to know the Hamlet monologue, the one where he's talking to the dagger. That's the to be or not. No, it's not. Where he's talking to the dagger. Or the ghost, sorry, sorry, I'm talking about
father.
Macbeth. Macbeth.
You're
sorry.
About Macbeth.
Macbeth, yeah,
yes.
That one.
Yes,
I used to know that one. And then the one.
Is this a dagger I see before me?
Yes, that one. And then the one monologue from Shakespeare that I've always loved, and I think is the one about. The Jewish guy. I think the one about my skin.
Merchant of Venice.
Yes, Merchant of Venice. That one.
Pound of Flesh.
Yes, that one. I've always loved that monologue.
Great speech. Great speech.
Yeah. So see, I'm also a theater guy. I can dabble.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love it. I knew you were gonna go. There's no ways he did the rugby thing or jumped out of the airplane thing. He definitely did the Shakespeare thing. See, misdirection.
Well done.
I took up rugby again. I loved playing rugby in high school and varsity, and then I couldn't afford a proper midlife crisis, so I took up contact sport, and I joined this the Cape Town Tens, the celebrity side.
Yes,
that's Sivungesi captains, and we played really well, and we reached the flippin' final of our first entrance, and then I've done it a couple of times since then, but I can't anymore because I'll injure myself. They start targeting me.
That was this year, wasn't it?
I did it. No, I did it a couple of years ago. I
Oh,
did it
okay.
literally just as I was turning 40, and then I did it 2 more
Oh, okay.
times.
All right.
I missed one because I was shooting that Tremors movie, and then I did it last year. I
Okay.
did it for the last time last year,
All right.
and then I said I can't
Speaking
anymore. I'm too
about
old.
shooting movies, thank you very much for playing that game with me. It was a lot of fun.
It's a pleasure. Who won again? It was me, right? I won.
Yeah, you won
I'm
because
the winner. Good.
you got me. You guessed right, and you
Yeah,
managed to deceive me, so you won. So that's two
I
points
won
for you.
on all levels of that game.
You sound very competitive.
Super. Super. Now you know how I reached the finals of the Cape Town Tens.
Yeah. um, I'm just looking at. Okay, so there is so much that you've done in your career that I think we could talk easily for another hour. So I'm just going to touch on a few things that I really wanted to ask you. I recently watched on Netflix Van der Merwe.
Oh yeah. Someone
Now,
just tweeted a picture of me in Van der Merwe.
yeah, there we go. There it is. For those
Do you
of
know
you, yeah,
that hairstyle? That's not like a bald wig. It's like they shaved my head.
really.
They just shaved my head into that hairstyle for the whole month and a half while I was filming that film. That was what I looked like. I mean, oh God.
I can see you're very fond of it. Um, but I wanted to ask you. They obviously gave you a beer book. Like that wasn't your actual tummy because you're a
Yes.
very slim guy.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
was it like wearing that for a month?
That was nothing compared to my hair. The hair situation was fucking torture. The fat suit was just like put it on, take it off at the end
Yeah.
of the day. I had to go home with that fucking hairstyle. If I got it, this actually happened. If I got to the front door without a hat on, my wife would go back to the car, go get your hat.
Oh man! All right, so I always like asking this as we start to end. I like to ask this to all the guests. So I've got maybe two or three more questions. So here we go. First one: most embarrassing thing that has happened to you during a gig or audition.
Wow, so many, so many. But the one that would probably take the cake is the first corporate we did is for Kona and Twaki. It was our first corporate. We got paid 15,000 rand, I think. Uh, I'm lying. It was probably more than that. We were super excited, and we arrived at the Cape Town Yacht Club. That's where it was, and we were running late, so we were rushing to get dressed. And when you get dressed in Kornatwaki, I mean, it's like Lowe's putting in his big, like, fake giant penis. I'm sticking on my moustache and the sweatbands. I had my moor stick that I would carry around everywhere. And then we went into it was for an IT function, end of year IT function. And we kind of went into the room, rushed into this room where this crowd of people were. And immediately it felt like, oh, this is going to be a cut crowd. They're like so flat. It's going to be hard work. But anyway, let's do what we do, which is work the room. Kornatwaki, we work the room. We never break character. We always go in and do it. So we split up immediately, and I started working that side of the room. Lowe starts working that side of the room. And with working the room with Kornatwaki means like sitting on people's laps, like getting your crotch in their face. It's like really kind of over the top. I see this woman in the corner. I've recognized her from somewhere. I'm not sure where, but I go up to her and I'm like, "Hey, lady, how you doing, lady?" And she's like, "I'm fine." She asks me. I said to her, "What do you?" She said, "What are you doing here?" And I'm like, "We're the entertainment, lady. We have to entertain you." And I said, "What are you doing here, lady?" And she's like, "Well, I knew him." And I was like, "Great, I knew him too. Woohoo, let's go." She said, "So what are you doing here again?" I said, "We're the entertainment lady. We have to entertain you. pow. And then she looks at me and she says, at a funeral. And I said, what? I'm sorry, what? She says, why are you entertaining people at a funeral? At which point I look across the room,
No.
noticing for the first time the weeping people, the get well soon cards scratched out, and the wreaths on the tables. And in the middle of the room is Lofenta / Cornet. The big guy, Lo. He's like nearly 7 foot tall. He's tall. Standing in the middle of the room, this giant 3 foot fake penis in his pants. And he's holding, in his hands, he's holding the bald head of a Catholic priest. Like proper Catholic priest. He was in a full dress. And Lo is busy licking the Catholic priest's head. and going, wiki, 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 wiki. So we're obviously in the wrong room, right? I rush over to him. I'm like, guy, I need to talk to you. And he's like, why, Tucky?
No.
I'm busy with my friend, Father Christmas over here. I'm like, dude, I need to talk to you. He's like, why, Tucky? Get away. I'm with my friend. I'm like, seriously, God, I need to fucking talk to you. And he's like, what's happening, guy? I'm like, we're at the funeral, guy. What? We're at the funeral, guy. What? We're at a fucking funeral, dude. We'd walked into the wrong room. We were in such a rush. We didn't even notice.
Oh my god.
And then the IT function was upstairs.
Oh my word.
So we went up there, and they were cuck. And then halfway through that show, we said to them, you guys are cuck. We're going back to the funeral.
Oh man. Wow, that has got to be one of the most amazing stories I've ever heard, ever.
True story. True story, bro.
Well, I know you have an appointment at 9, so I'm not going to keep you any longer. Like I said,
I'm recording a podcast. Myself and Nick Rabinovitz are doing
nice.
a podcast at the moment.
Fantastic.
It's called And Now. It's on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube.
Okay.
So, Storm, go and watch that after you watch Queen Sona.
Yeah. send me
Who's
a
the other
link.
dude? Yassine.
Yeah, Yasid. We have Julian.
Yassine, listen to our podcast And Now after you've watched this.
Dylan. Those are the people that have commented so far. So yeah, send me a link to the YouTube one. I'll link it in the description below. And then
awesome.
And then also, what I like to do with my guests is just give you like a few moments to basically have your final words with the audience, and then yeah, pretty much done. You can wait on Skype for me, or we can say bye now. I know you've got an appointment soon. So, but before you do say anything, I just want to say thanks again for joining me. It's been a lot of fun, and I hope you'll come back because I had so much more questions. But your stories are so
I'll do
great.
Part 2.
Yeah.
Part 2, we'll do it.
All right, awesome. Thank you, buddy. Cool.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
Any final things to say to the audience as you head out?
I love you guys. I love you all. Just take care of yourselves. Take it slowly. Take it day by day. You don't have to reinvent the wheel right now. You don't have to fix anything. Just be gentle with yourself. We're going to get there.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Rob Van Vuuren, a flippin' phenomenal, fantastic, awesome person. I've worked with him a few times. He is the nicest guy at shows. I really wanted to go more into his career, but as you can see, he's got so many great stories. It captivates you. It's so entertaining. And but like he said, he'll come back for a part 2. So we'll organize that probably later on in the lockdown. So Rob, thank you so much for joining me tonight. For those of you who are still watching, thank you so much. Please subscribe. I have way more content coming your way. I interview comedians and performers almost every night, and I will continue to do so throughout the lockdown, where you can come and you can ask questions, you can partake in our games. It's a whole lot of fun. Tomorrow night I have the one, the only, the legendary, the only cousin in South Africa, Barry Hilton, will be joining me tomorrow night. So please tune into that one. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then don't forget to like this video, please, if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel. You'll get all the notifications, and press that bell notification. Don't forget that you can also donate, and the link or this donation box will be open and online for the next 2 days. So even if you're watching this after we're done being live, you can still donate for the next 48 hours. So that's basically up until the 22nd of, I don't know who's, sorry. Up until the 22nd of April, you can still donate up until 22nd of April, the 11 o'clock, I believe, or 11:30. Renan Hobbit says, who is that child behind you and your son? Sorry, I'm reading that a bit late, a bit delayed. There's definitely, unless you're seeing something I'm not, in which case I'm going to run really quickly out of this room. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, please like this video, share, subscribe, tell people what I'm doing, and I'll see you here tomorrow night, 8 p.m. with Barry Hilton. Until then, stay safe, wash your hands, and be kind to one another. Good night.